Hey everyone, how's it going? Just give me a sec. Gonna get my screen set up as usual. And a few more people are joining, I think. And we'll get started. So tonight is Clinic Portal night, talking about our new Clinic Portal revamped 2.0 sort of thing. So a lot of new features coming out shortly. And you'll be able to get an overview. Now we've set this up for a few clinics in our test environment, test a few things, have a few more cool things working together. And, after tonight, hopefully you'll see how the product's coming together really well for the clinic side of things. So we've set it up for a few clinics. We're going to be rolling this out very, very shortly. Let me share my screen. Where is it? Here. And then I think I'd get better at sharing my screen. Here we are. Excellent. There we are. So hopefully you can all see that. Hopefully you can all hear me. This is all recorded, of course. We put this up on our help page in our YouTube, so you can have a look at it later. That's useful to refer back. Always happy to do demos for your clinics and things like that as well. So this is the clinic portal. This is separate to our doctor portal, which is the doctor-facing AI scribe, summarizes your notes, so on and so forth. This is what your admin or practice manager, practice owner, receptionist, etc. would use. So this will give you a really useful single tool that'll cover a whole heap of use cases and be super valuable. So we've got the doctor portal, clinic portal, and then we do have a patient portal coming out. So the patient portal, it's not a booking platform or anything like that. It is a patient-facing application that connects into their My Health record because we've got the My Health record integration coming, so it'll allow a patient to easily access My Health record and view their data and things like that. So less relevant for clinics and doctors, but that's sort of just on the roadmap as well. So let me get started. I'm just going to move this over here. Just so it's a bit easier to see. So I'll put it over here. That's annoying. There we are. So this is the clinic portal. These are all the features that we've got. So we've got the waiting room. Essentially what this is a like a dashboard that your receptionist, admin, practice owner, practice manager would look at, and they would see all your patients, all their billing opportunities that are available each day, and then you can see like the next day and the next day after that. And it does a couple of really useful things. So one, it does a mymedicare check, and it'll check if a patient is registered or not. So you can see here with this patient, Liam Oakton, these are all fake patients, of course. This little X on that building, that means they are not registered for mymedicare. If they are registered, there'll be a green tick. The little arrow is a pre-consult. So as you know, we can send the pre-consult out, sends to the patient, they can fill it out, and it comes back to you as the GP. This just notifies you if the pre-consult was sent out and filled. Doesn't show the pre-consult because we figure that that's information for the GP, but you can see if it's done or not. The next thing to be added, which we do have working in our test environment, is the assignment of benefit. So you can text the patient to sign up for their mymedicare and then to fill out an assignment of benefit report, and then that gets logged in here. So the receptionist and the admin team can see who has signed up for Medicare, who hasn't, who is logged for their assignment of benefit, as in enduring assignment of benefit, which is what we're doing, is it logged or not. So that's a really useful feature as well. So we're using it at this clinic. We're finding it's a lot easier to drive billings with it because you can see who exactly is coming in, what's due, what's not due, how many 1099-7s are due, that sort of thing. So it's a really useful product. Now this will be free. So this should launch in the next literally day or two. It'll be free for anyone that signs up. It links into BP. You can see exactly what's going on. Super useful. So I hope everyone will enjoy that. That's a really cool tool. When a patient is not signed up for MyMedicare, you'll be able to text them just as you can in the doctor portal. So I talked about this last time when we went to the doctor portal stuff. You can click the button here where it says, there's a little X, they're not registered. You can click it. It'll send the patient a text. They can sign the MyMedicare form. And then that form gets sent to our document sorter. So the whole principle or guiding philosophy behind the doctor portal and putting clinic portal and putting all of these tools into one is that a lot of these tools are going to talk to each other. So if we can see that a patient needs to be registered for MyMedicare, they can register it and then sends that tool to the document sorter. And the document sorter has a Services Australia MyMedicare integration as well, so that you can upload the MyMedicare form straight to your clinic's Proda account. So that makes it a lot quicker and easier. So you don't have to log on to Proda, enter in their details, double click here and check that and blah, blah. It just goes straight into there. So super, super useful tool. And I'll show you that in a second. Next slide, come on, next slide. Here we are, boom, dashboards. So these are our dashboards. They are also free, so have a look at them. Hopefully you like them. They will be coming out the next day or two. I say day or two, but it should be the next day or two. Should be. And they essentially show you financial analytics. Now, the reason why they're free, like I understand that other people charge for them or whatever. It's just that there's only so many ways you can display total billings, right? Like it's not a revolution. This is not a revolutionary product to say this is your total billings in the last week. Like there are multiple products that do that. Really, really good products. What we're trying to do is just be really concise with the information that we're giving to you, so that you can have a really, really, really concise, specific overview of the metrics that I think move a business forward. So they might be things like total billings or your CDM billings or your revenue per hour. I think those metrics matter more than like thousands of other metrics. Too many metrics, it just becomes noise. So I think just a couple of different things matter. So we've got our revenue, which is all like finance based. We've got our performance, which is like appointment count, DNAs, new patients, utilization rates, etc. So again, we're specifically trying to be very, very concise. We do have one more dashboard in the works coming. It's called optimizations, and it is essentially everything that can be optimized across your clinic. So I'm a GP, you probably know that, a practice owner. When I buy a new clinic, there's a couple of things that I look at straight away to optimize. So that's care plans, health assessments, 715. 715 have an associated PIP for your clinic that you can register patients with. So we have a tracker for that. GPH care incentive payments. There's also trackers for that in this optimization tab. So spacing out when things need to be billed, and then just providing doctors with like a daily list. So today you're going to this nursing home, you're billing these item numbers and these patients, and that's how we get everything for your GP aged care incentive. CVC program, which is another thing to optimize, and missed billing. So things that were missed in your clinic. For example, you might be a clinic that charges like a facility fee, right? So if we have an excision and there's no associated facility fee, we pick that up and say, should there be a facility fee? Now, it might be the case that it doesn't need to be there, but we just sort of flag it. Or if you bill like a 23 and after hours period where it should actually be a 5020 or something like that. So just picking up these billings, and it's all just displayed on one tab, and I think that makes it really useful. Now, the other tab that we have there that you can see is outreach. So it's unfilled currently, but like I said, I think a lot of these tools talk to each other. So the outreach tab is where we take that list of patients that are due for their care plans or their health assessments, and we, reach out to them, either with an SMS or with an AR receptionist. So we can call and say, hey, you're due for your care plan, you're due for your health assessment, come in, let's fill your unbooked slots, turn it from, no revenue into revenue and great care that you're offering your patients. So I think that's a really useful tool where this will become like a revenue generation engine. AI receptionist, so you've all seen and heard these. These are like, inbound, classical inbound, where an AI answers a call, books it into the appointment book, or cancels an appointment or reschedules, so on and so forth. As part of that outbound that I was talking about, there's the outbound in terms of calling patients and booking them in for like those high value things like care plans and health assessments, and then there's outbound in terms of like rescheduling, so like calling all the patients in a day and rescheduling them. So that's not there yet. That's what the outbound will be covering. So for inbound, we just have, your classical inbound. We have your knowledge base that you can set up. So you can see here, you can set up your clinic. We do multi-site clinics as well now. So you can have, two sites on the one BP database, multi-site, and it will have a different knowledge base for each of those, which is like useful. So you can have one number that calls up, it'll recognize the patient in whichever site and sort of figure it out. So we're rolling that out, the multi-site function, slowly in testing. Needs a lot of testing, but otherwise you fill it out in terms of like opening hours, contacts, what's the official name of the clinic, address, etc., etc. So the idea is that you give it a knowledge base for the AR receptionist to act from. You can then turn it off and on for different doctors, it depends on what the demographic that sees that particular doctor might prefer. You might find that there are some patients that see a particular doctor where like it's not a useful, or they just always go through to the receptionist. Anyway, maybe it's um, like I've got some patients that got like the thickest Australian accents, like the classical, like g'day mate, like you have no idea what they're saying. So they're like really hard for our receptionists to pick up on. I understand it fine, but it can be really tricky. So things like that, right, where it can be tricky. It could be just based on the demographics of those particular doctors. You also put in your preferred name, so that makes it easier because, like my name's Jonathan, but I go by Casey, so that just makes it easier to understand who exactly the patient's talking about. And then this is our complexer booking type. So what this means is that we can match up your appointment book like exactly into the AI receptionist. So if a patient needs to book in for a like a health assessment where you might book in with the nurse first, doctor after, that's something we can accommodate. If you need to book in with a doctor and nurse at the same time because you might be doing a procedure, or if you want to say don't book in for certain things, like don't book in for that insurance medical because it's a complex, high value booking type that we don't want to get wrong. You can tell it to always transfer to human receptionist for those sorts of things. So it's quite a bit more flexible now with the way that it books and the way that it can marry up exactly to your appointment book, and we find that gives a better outcome overall in our testing because it's mapped exactly to the BP appointment types. This is the document sorter. So you've probably seen document sorters. There's a ton of them around. They are a commodity. So they all work very similarly. They essentially just look at a document, read it, match it up into your database and put it in. Where ours differs, if I can say, is that we do have that Services Australia MyMedicare integration. So if someone's filled out a MyMedicare form, the document sorter recognizes it being a MyMedicare form and then uploads it straight into the clinic's Proda or Proda account. So that's a really useful feature that just cuts down that duplication like significantly. Other than that, most document sorters are pretty much the same. There's only so many ways that you can match up patient's name to the name of the database and put in the details about the inbox. So that's the way that I see it. So what we're trying to do is bundle these all together, because I think some of these like companies that are doing these individually, um, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of, ongoing value in that because there's so much more that can be added when you put these products together. Not also withstanding the fact that they're significantly cheaper when you put them together because you've bundled, you can offer each cheaper individually. So here's the My Medicare component. It recognizes that this is a My Medicare form. It can upload it straight into your clinic's Proda. So we've got to configure your My Medicare. We do that anyway for the waiting room. It's like a 2-second thing. So that's a useful feature that's been rolled out as well. Otherwise, yeah, you can see it's got like the review tab, which is where things are going in, the completed tab, where things that have already been pushed in sit. So you can do like a audit trail and see that it's gone into where it's meant to have gone in. And otherwise, there's a ton of new settings that you can fill in if you want to, but it's up to you. So we have the email import. That's like by far the easiest thing, I think. I can't think of any workflows where it shouldn't just be all over email. That's what I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But at our clinic, the receptionist will just, if they get a hard copy document from the patient, put it into the scanner. The scanner emails it directly to the document sorter, and then it gets put directly into the file. Like within 2 minutes, it's in the file. So I think that's a really, really good, useful workflow. Auto import, so you have the ability to just set it to automatically do the importing. It skips the manual review. So the benefits of this, it's like automatic. You don't even need a human using it. There's always benefits and advantages, disadvantages. Disadvantages that if it isn't working correctly, it might put something into the wrong file automatically. So we leave that off by default. So it's off. You need to turn it on. It depends on the workflow that you are working with, the way that it works, etc. So I think it's a useful feature. And as AI gets better, it's 100% this job is going to be like automatic AI. Like probably in the next 3 to 6 months, you won't have humans using this because it's a very easy feature. Very easy feature to do, very easy workflow to do. So just being aware of the sort of changes coming with that. Otherwise, you can set up your settings, essentially managing the categories of documents and what you want those documents to be categorized as. You can add categories. You can also add in default routing. What that means is
If you always put consents in your correspondence in, you can just tell it always put consents and correspondence in, so it won't route it to like the inbox, for example. Or if you want to put in like work cover medical request forms into the inbox, because you do want the doctor to review that because work covers requesting some information or something like that. You can set it so it always defaults and routes to the inbox. What that saves you on doing is that let me go back, when you go through the documentation and click import, it's already routed to the correct place. So, this is like a authority to release records that will go into the doctor's inbox, and the doctor will, action it. Or it might already have been actioned because you do that in paper and then scan it in which case you always want it to go into the patient file. So you can set up those defaults in the settings, which is useful and makes it quicker again. And then you can manage all your doctors. So you can turn your doctors on and off, depending on, if you want their documentation to go through this, and then it syncs with BP. So by default, all doctors are on. By default, it just syncs straight with your best practice. So it's picking up all the doctors that are in that. So that's a useful feature. This is how you manage all your users. So your users are the people that are logging into this clinic. You can have like admin, super admin, so they have access to everything. Admin, as in your admin or reception team. And then you have like practice managers, practice owners. Essentially, we split it up into like financial and non-financial. If you don't want certain people accessing the financial components and vice versa, it has the excuse me, has the access, like role-based access team. So these are the people that you might be using the actual AI scribe. You can invite a person and control their track their invites, control their seats or subscriptions. So that's a useful feature that's getting rolled out, so that anyone that is using MBSPro, the AI scribe, you can easily add them or not add them. Access profile. So this is just to show you how it works. So you can turn on what exactly the receptionist has access to. So you can see they don't have access to financial dashboards. They do have access to the operational dashboards, AI receptionist, document sorter, waiting room, because they're the things that, say, a receptionist might use. Whereas you might have, for example, like a practice manager, practice owner that would have access to, say, the finances and the doctor pay module. So, Doctor Pay module. This is a brand new feature that we've got in here. We've rolled it out at a couple of clinics. This is a service fee calculator, automatic service fee calculator. With AI built in, make it even cooler than it is. So, how does it work? Essentially, it pulls in all of your receipted items receipted from best practice into this module, and then it applies your rules to it. So the rules of your clinic being, what are your service fee splits? So you might pay, say, 70/30 service fee split, or like 60/40, or you might do different splits depending on if it's after hours or weekends, or different splits for like care plans and health assessments compared to like standard items, and so on and so forth. So essentially, it will calculate all of those rules, as in you put it in. It then calculates the billings according to those rules automatically, links in with a zero, so everything can be pushed to zero in terms of like what's been invoiced, etc. The RCTIs, if you're working on, say, a trust model, or if you're doing direct deposit, it can also handle that via our Tyra integrations. It'll calculate the doctor and clinic split, and it can work out even if you have some doctors that are on direct deposit, some doctors that are on trust model, it'll do them, both together, which is exciting, and just really streamline the whole sort of process. What happens is you set up pay periods. You can see that's one of the tabs down the left-hand side. And then each pay period, it'll pull in all the receipts and then calculate the disbursements. It'll generate the ABA files that you put into your bank account to pay everyone. It'll push stuff to zero, and then it'll email all your doctors all of their statements. So the statement will be everything that they billed during that pay period. They're like a BAS summary, so something that they can just put straight into their BAS or give to their accountant, and it will calculate. Well, it won't calculate. It'll just say, this is what you need to give your accountant, or this is what you put in your BAS statement. So it makes it significantly more streamlined, which I think is a very useful feature. It'll pull out all of the receipts for your doctors. So what is the use of this? There's a couple of different uses for this. If your doctors want all of their receipts, like specific receipts from specific patients, you can give this to the doctor and say, this is what you've billed for the fortnight. Otherwise, what gets emailed out automatically is just like a count. So you have billed, 40 23s and 10 965s and, 2 900s and things like that. But this receipt section shows like the specific patient. Again, this is all fake patients, fake doctors, but it'll show the specific patient, came in at 9 o'clock and was billed this care plan. So it's easy for you to track, and that'll show it across all the doctors or everything that's been billed. So it's not only doctors, works perfectly fine for allied health reception, allied health, nurse practitioners, so on and so forth. So it's quite a useful tool for tracking things and making sure things that were billed should have been billed into BP. So this is the rules that you can set up. The rules can be as complex or as simple as you like. There's a ton of different rules that you can add in. You can add them in for individual doctors, as in you might have a doctor that's on a different split, or you can add in generic rules that are available for all GPs. So just to give you an example, at my clinic, a rule that we have for everyone is facility fees. Facility fee goes to the practice that pays for the nurse time when you're doing like a, iron infusion or something like that, right? Whereas an individual split for a doctor might be their individual percentage split, or it might be something to do with like maybe they do aviation medicals or train medicals or insurance reports or something like that. So you can set up as many complex or simple rules as you like. The way that the ruling system works is essentially the name of the rule. So it might be called, insurance medicals. And then you might have a code for that. That might be like a 0. You can even put in a service description. So that might be just insurance medicals. And then you can add in your split to that. Or you could add in, say, item 23. And if that item 23 is billed on the weekend, we charge a different service fee because, it's like a weekend rate or something like that. So you can charge, say, an 80/20 on that split. Or you might do, if you do a care plan on a Tuesday, you charge that a different service fee split to a care plan on any other day. So it can be as complex or as simple as you like. I'd highly recommend that any billing rules you have are simple, not complex. That makes it just in general easy to live with. The simpler, the better, in my opinion. But we can accommodate a huge amount of variety and complexity, which is useful as well. So you can add in all of those, random things, all of those rules, all the items, etc., that you've been billed, and that's like a super useful thing. Then this is your pay history. So these are all the pays that have been done. So, so for example, we operate on fortnight. So this is like all the fortnight pays. And then you have your quarterly and annual statements. So, for your BAS, so quarterly, and then, your what's been billed over the whole year, etc. And then that means that you can have a place that easily stores all of those. We do email it off to the doctor at each pay period. If if you wanted to, and when we get onto it, it's not there yet. What we're wanting to do is push all this to the AI scribe. So it's an AI scribe where you have like your CPD home, you've got all your like my health record integrations and e-prescribing and PBS authorities, and you've got your pays. We've already got dashboards in there that track like your billings, but that's billings, not receipts. So it's not actually pays, it's just sort of what you build in a day, because it's meant to be more of like, I've billed, this many, care plans today. But remember, receipts depends on your pay periods and when it gets, when it actually comes to your account. So that's why there's a difference there. But we're wanting to put in like the actual invoice here. So what you get paid every 2 weeks, put it actually into the AI scribe. So it's like an easy way to keep track of it. Pay history, I think I put that in twice. Oh no, this just shows you that you can view it, you can download it, you can email it, etc. So you're keeping track of things done quarterly or annually. Banking reconciliation. So this is a way that we match payments that have been made into your PMS versus payments that have been received via Tyro, ensuring that they match because they should match. If they are not matching, we show you where those errors are, so that you can look at those payments, review them, and change anything that you need to do, whether that might be refund a payment, change a payment, ask for a payment, or is it just that it wasn't reconciled into BP, so reconciling it back and ensuring there's no issues with that. So that's a really useful thing. So integrates with Tyro, so we can see when the payments have come in. So that's useful in the context of direct deposit. So if you're in like New South Wales or Victoria, where payments may go to the doctor first and then come back to the clinic, this is a product that is useful for that because it can match against all of those things as well. Pay period, so you can add in your pay period. That can be, weekly, monthly, fortnightly, or like a custom time period. And so you just add it in, and then that's how it tracks which pay periods the payments have come in. As you're aware, if you do like an excision, and you may bill that on a day, but not actually charge for it, like you hold the billings until, a week later when you get the histo back, that might come back in a different pay period. So a pay period is everything that's been receipted within those dates. Anything that has not been receipted would then go into the next pay period, even if it was billed, like 2 pay periods ago, but it was just on hold. Practice settings. So this is just where you set up the settings for your practice, because when you email invoices, it'll have like your practice name and your ABN and blah, blah, blah on it. The Tyra MID, I don't think I've got that in. Oh, yeah, I do. So the Tyra MID banking/ABA and Xero is where you put in your information to generate your ABAs. It's where you put in information to integrate with Xero, and your information for Tyra to track all of those, FPOS terminals, etc., to track those payments. So you can see here we've got a couple of zeros connected, which is useful. And then that's where you can add in your master MID and each your FPOS MIDs. So tracking it to each like individual doctor. And then this is the settings of the whole clinic portal in total. So this is where you'd put in your BP integration, your mymedicare integration. So we need your ID, your site ID, and your PRODA RA number for your clinic. And then we need to generate a B2B device. I know that sounds like I've just made up some random words, but it's like a 2-3 minute process. It's not a long process, and it does have those random things in it, but it's easy enough to set up. It's exactly the same as the AI Scribe. You can set up my Medicare checks in that already, and they're working and they're great. It's the same process. So it's not a big process, but it's incredibly useful. Put in your clinic information, so that's usually just your name, your website, your phone number. You can change your password, of course, and then we've got the billing information there. So, like I said, waiting room dashboards, they're free. Just give it a go. They haven't been pushed just yet. I'm literally hoping they're pushed tonight. AI receptionists are there, document sorter is there, and then Dr. Pay should be there very shortly. If you wanted to be one of our beta testers though, and sort of try it and give it a go and give us some feedback, and hopefully use it because it's a great tool that saves you a ton of time, saves you money. Let us know and we can reach out and set up some accounts. So that's the clinic portal in total. I know that's been like a big presentation. We'll be advertising more of this shortly. What we're trying to do is bundle all these tools together so that they're like really cheap and useful and often free. And just to make it like a useful product. So waiting room dashboards are free. Otherwise, we've got the document sorter, AI receptionist, Dr. Pay module in there. In terms of pricing, we can do custom pricing depending on your like full-time equivalents, how big your clinic is, volume discounts, things like that. We're aiming for a price of $50 per full-time equivalent. So you might have, like 2 or 3 doctors as a full-time equivalent, up to a cap for your clinic, because we don't want to scale with price. We want it to be like cheaper for you. So we don't, we don't want to keep scaling with price, because then there's like no benefit to you as a clinic owner. Like I get that as a practice owner. So they're like having a cap per clinic, so it's like a useful thing. So otherwise, that's got everything in it. We'll put this recording up. I'm just going to check if there are any questions about all of that. So I think there's a few there. Here we are. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that has been useful. Oh yeah, okay. A couple of questions. Okay, the billing eligibility, is it pulled from the clinic data, i.e. does it see? Yeah, so it's pulled from just your best practice for the billing eligibility in the waiting room. We do have the ability to look at some things in my health record integration in the doctor portal. We're looking at how we can put that all together. The My Health Record integration has a lot more data on it in terms of billings than the BP history. It can see all your allied health billings, all your psychology billings, so you know how many like psychology visits have happened under a mental health care plan. We can only do 10 per calendar year. Allied health visits with a care plan, it's only 5 per calendar year. Really hard to track those things. So the My Health Record will track it better. Not in the clinic portal yet. We're sort of seeing, if we can do that. It is useful to be able to export these billings info to CSV. Yep, so you can. With the Dr. Pay, you can export it and send it, or whatever you want to do. And then another question, what is the on-time performance? Yep, the on-time performance is like a metric, and we have it in the doctor portal as well as an indicator of how late you'll be. The on-time performance essentially just tracks the difference between opening up a patient's appointment or when it was meant to open, like the appointment was at 10:30 and when it was actually opened. So it's a way that we track how long someone has been, like if someone's running late and things like that. So again, a lot of these metrics aren't like you wouldn't use them as a one-off. It's a trend. So someone might be, you look at this dashboard the first time you look at it because it's free and you just want to have a look at it, and it says that every single doctor is running late. That in itself may or may not be true because we know that you might open a file like before the patient even comes in just to read it, and that might then mean it's hard for the patient to be late because the file's already open, or it might be that the patient comes in, you're chatting away, BP crashes, you turn your computer back on, you've talked to the patient for 10 minutes, and then you open your patient's file, or you go to the nursing app. So not all this data is like 100%, you know, truthful or real, but it's more about what is the trend. So like if everyone's super late the first week, but they're a little bit better on time the next week, and so on and so forth, and most people are on time by the third month. Well, it's all gotten better, so that's perfect. That's fine. Is the document sorter free or additional features? So the document sorter is at one of the charged features. You can trial it for free. So we do free trials for that. Very useful, even in and of itself. Even better with like the integrations with all the other tools, like in the One Clinic portal. But happy for you to use it for free, absolutely. So that's a tool that you can try for free, and then hopefully you like it, and then help us out by paying for it. Any other questions about that? I think we pretty much covered everything, and we've done our half hour, which is great. So I appreciate everyone hanging around. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. I think it's all good. Okay. All no problems. I'll stop sharing. I think we've answered all the questions. This is all recorded, so it'll go up online. Thanks everyone for hanging around. Shoot me an email, send me a message if there's any questions about how that'll all work. Hopefully you can see the value and sort of how we're pulling all these tools together and create a lot of value for your clinic. So I appreciate it. All right. Thanks everyone. You have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you at the next one. Catch ya. Bye.